immediately upon reading it, I started writing it, because the imagery and the universe that Liz had created in the novel was so kind of instantly cinematic. But I also could immediately identify ways to make it personal, which I think is a really sort of important piece of the puzzle when you're adapting something. You don't want to just be transcribing. You want to feel like there's something that you can contribute, something that is unique to you. And I felt like there was a way to make it a personal story. I think it has lots of different elements, but for me it ultimately is a mystery thriller, and I hope that that kind of is an overarching brand for the movie. I'd say that Hitchcock influences on the novel, and so that just inherently carries over. It is a mystery. I think it's a mystery thriller. That's the loudest arc in the film.
The patient's name is Louis DRAX, 9 years old. He fell off one of the cliffs at Land's End.
He was dead for 2 hours. I've never seen anything like it. He's in a coma. But he's alive.
Louis DRAX is a 9-year-old boy who's had 9 near-fatal accidents, and on his 9th birthday he falls from a cliff and he dies. He ends up coming back to life and is in a coma. And in that coma, he is investigating how he ended up where he's ended up, and what's the reality, what's the truth behind his life. I think from the first time I saw Aidan Reed, I knew he'd be Louis DRAX. It's a very difficult balance of things you're trying to find. You want to find a kid who's really the right age, which is a very specific age. You want somebody who aesthetically is going to be fun to look at for 2 hours. But then also somebody who has the weight and the technique to pull off this incredibly difficult part. There's not going to be a lot of people who can do all those things. So we feel incredibly blessed to have Aidan.
Mrs. Drax, I'm Dr. Pascal. We're not supposed to use the word miracle, but this might call for an exception.
Natalie is an incredibly enigmatic and alluring woman. She's sort of timeless. She walks into a room and everybody's head turns. There's a line in the script that says, you know, people look at her like a car accident, you know, so you can't turn your head away. She's very compelling, but she's very hard to read. And that's sort of one of the main investigations of the movie, is her true nature. Peter is somebody at first we suspect to be responsible for Louis' accident. And then as the story unravels, we realise it's more complicated than that. Dr. Pascal's a paediatric neurologist and a celebrated one. He's sort of a celebrity doctor, if such a thing exists, and you know, very charismatic, very handsome, very, very smart, and he's really on the cutting edge of this technology and this kind of research. And he immediately becomes fascinated by Louis' case for all of the obvious reasons. It's unexplainable. And I think he's very drawn to those challenges. He's also very drawn to Natalie Drax, the boy's mother, because of her beauty and her, you know, her enigmatic personality.
I'd like to hear what Mrs. Drax told you about Louis' fall.
It was Louis' 9th birthday. I planned a picnic. Peter became aggressive.
Children always know so much more than we think.
I think that some people don't want to wake up until they feel safe. What if Louis is reaching out?
I ended up making a movie with him 2 years ago here in Vancouver called Horns. And really the thrust of my wanting to do that movie was to work with him. And when we were on set, he was talking to me about what he was looking to do next, and he told me about 3 different story ideas he had, all of which directly tie into Louis Drax. I mean, really tie into Louis Drax. So I said, you should look at the script, never thinking in my wildest dreams that he would consider making it. But he called me up very quickly and said, you know, I want to direct this film. And I couldn't stop pinching myself, and I think I cried a little bit, and then ran around a room and hit my head on the wall. He's just completely the right person for it. He completely understands it. He's so connected to it. It's more personal to him than me, I think, at this point.